of the year, man of the year, man of the year. Welcome to the #1 friendship podcast in the country. I'm Aaron Karo.
I'm Matt Ritter.
And make sure to go to manoftheyearpodcast.com. Check out our YouTube. Matt, it is the most wonderful time of the year. It's everyone's favorite season. It's wedding season. Pew, 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 pew.
Let's crash weddings, baby. Is it not? Are we not crashing weddings?
Have you ever known anyone who's actually done that?
No, but I've snuck a peek in a few weddings, you know?
Yeah.
Like when you're at a facility where there's a wedding going on, I've definitely snuck a peek. I may have had a shrimp at a happy hour.
I've actually at JMC's wedding, I enabled crashers. A couple of my buddies were downtown, so I brought drinks out of the ballroom into where they were, which is right outside, and we had a drink.
Wow. I didn't know that. Wow, you're a crasher enabler.
I'm a crasher enabler. We used to talk about weddings all the time on the pod because there's so many friendship. It's so fraught with friendship situations. And it's been a minute, maybe because I had this huge second wave of weddings in my post-COVID. That's pretty much ended. Now you're going through a wave.
Heavy flow. So Jesse's friends suddenly realized time to take the plunge. All at the same time this year. They all were like, oh yeah, I guess I probably should get married, do that whole thing.
So you have 5 weddings this summer?
Oh yeah. 1 family, 4 friends, all hers, none of mine. Mine are all, we're at the second, we need the second wedding. Karo and then all second weddings.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already, I've been to a few.
Karo is the last first wedding. Is that a movie? The Last First Wedding?
The Last First Wedding. It's not bad. That's not bad. I mean,
not bad.
No one's coming home from that bachelor party, whenever that will be. There's no excuses. Also, because we used to go, to Vegas on a
Cartagena,
budget.
Colombia.
Yeah, we have to go somewhere it's someone's foot in the bill.
North Pole. Bermuda Triangle. Is that a place? Is there a destination? Bermuda Triangle?
No, it's famously not. I wanted to kind of collate a few, we've gotten so many questions over the past few months, wedding related. One thing that came up a bunch is the bridal party, choosing the groomsmen and the bridesmaids. That seems to have caused a lot of friction among friends. Do you have any sort of general thoughts about how important it is, pitfalls, why is it so fraught?
Well,
what's the point of having groomsmen? Let's start with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a way to honor your friendships, first and foremost. It's a way to honor your friendships. It's a way to designate. There aren't that many formal events in your life where you can say, I consider you one of my closest friends officially. So this is the one. And I think, when you look at it that way, the flip side is the people who think that they are potentially going to be a groomsman and aren't. It's a lot of hurt feelings, naturally. If you see it as this big thing of well, I'm officially ranking my friends, and as I said, I hate doing that, the titling and all that. And so I do think we've made it overfraught ourselves, bridal, both groomsmen and bridesmaids. It's become not what it's meant to be.
For me, it's they're standing with you, which is an honorific.
Yep.
And then your best man is helping you plan the bachelor party, but that's pretty much it. What do you think about when I'm going to say it's usually, if it's a heterosexual couple, the wife wanting even numbers on both sides?
Yeah, man, I don't think that's necessary. I've seen a lot of them. Nobody cares if 2 people or 1 person or 3 people or 4 people walk down at one time because it's a 4-to-1 ratio and there's only 2 guys and there's 8 women.
Yeah.
It's fine. I get it. You want the perfectly balanced picture on both sides. That's not life. Life isn't balanced. Life isn't, I get a friend, you get a friend. I get a friend, you get a friend. I get a friend, you get a friend. It's no, most men are losers. They don't have friends. Women have 19 friends. The wedding is going to be 19 bridesmaids and me and my Uncle Steve.
Do you remember? Well, you weren't there, but when I officiated your wedding before you came down, the bridal party walked down, and I kind of like made up introductions for each of them.
Yeah. What did you say? It was pretty funny, wasn't it?
Well, famously, there's no video, but
Oh, God. Videographer from hell.
I was like, Uncle Steve. I don't even know. Honestly, I think I was trying to do like a Chicago Bulls
I love it.
thing, but it just happened in the moment.
Now, starting at right groomsman.
I also think that if someone is on the border of if you're choosing want to choose them or not, I say A, generally you should choose them. B, how much would it mean to them? Sometimes you disagree with me on my thinking that. I think you should think about how the other person, if this is gonna be so exciting for them, then that's a variable for me.
Yep. And there's also ways to hack that, giving them honors, like you said. I think let's just jump right into what are some of the best practices for this. I've one. If you're struggling and you think it's going to cause a big rift on two friends, just pick a sibling. If you have a sibling, just pick a sibling. If you have a family member, just pick a family member. And then you're saving yourself from a friendship rift.
So you're saying do no groomsmen who aren't related?
I'm just saying, if we're trying to solve, I'm not saying that's how you normally should do it.
Yeah.
If you're trying to solve for there's going to be a big rift, and this is, I have to choose one or the other for whatever reason. And, I have to choose one best man, or I can only choose this one groomsman. Like, I think the family member is the easy, cheap way out.
Yeah. That's if you have a brother.
Yeah.
And I don't have a brother.
Or a cousin.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There's also additional honors. They could sign the wedding certificate.
Wedding certificate.
What else can you give? Like, are there other like
you can ask him to recite a prayer?
A prayer, right? I mean, I don't think you could ask someone to speak at your wedding if they're not a groomsman, can you?
I think so. I've never seen it, but maybe we're creating a new category.
I've been an MC. Speaker. I've been not a groomsman, but I've been an MC. So just introducing everybody.
Yep.
It was my buddy Nate. He was like, listen, we're coming in. Like he wanted me to do the, welcome to their first dance, like Nate and Rita. And he's like, we're playing a specific like EDM song. I want you to like hit the Nate and Rita like on the beat. He was very like, this is what we want. And like, I biffed it because that's impossible.
We want the drop happening right now.
Right now. And I just missed it.
Like, I'm not a professional DJ.
Well,
how about this? Do we care about the number of groomsmen or bridesmaids anyway? Like, here's my hot take. You want 16 bridesmaids? Fine. Go for it.
I don't think the number doesn't matter. The evenness doesn't matter. I think you just need to think like, who are your best friends? Yeah. By the way, who were you a groomsman for? That matters a little bit.
There's a equation. There's a Karo algorithm on that. Time plus friendship or something. Because like I definitely probably was a groomsman on some people, and then they weren't in mine because it was like a decade later, and
and that's exactly. And like, okay, I wasn't the groomsman in a couple weddings when they just had family members, to your point, and I'm like, okay, that gives them a half point. I don't dock them completely.
Yep.
Going back to when you're saying how guys don't have friends, I was recently invited to a wedding of a guy that I've maybe hung out with like twice.
Very I love you, man situation, huh?
Even more ridiculous than I love you, man. Yeah.
How'd you meet this person?
I met them through like LA, like work stuff, and like.
And you got invited to their wedding after two meetings?
Wedding. Yeah. We had 2 coffees and then maybe 3 other hangouts with like a bunch of other people on a project. Like it was ridiculous.
You went?
No.
Oh.
No. Also, it was a destination wedding. I'm like, is this a joke?
This was just a gift ploy.
I didn't give a gift.
So his ploy failed. He didn't want you coming. It was a gift ploy.
But like
a gift ploy.
Yeah, but what do you think about that? About me not giving a gift?
Because you didn't want to fall prey to the gift play. I mean, you barely know the person. You don't have to give them a gift.
Yeah. But I sort of felt bad because I don't know.
You didn't
I mean,
fall for his gift play because you're too smart. You didn't fall into the gift trap.
no, but like I was assuming, oh, maybe he just doesn't have a lot of guy friends, and I'm just like, maybe just I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking. You think it was just I don't think a gift ploy is almost
For a
that's like
destination wedding. I think it's a gift play.
well,
If you
East
told
Coast.
me it was in LA, huh?
It was East Coast. It wasn't like
Okay.
you know.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like, I'd be more likely to be inclined to believe that he really wanted you there if it was closer.
Right. Right. Oh man. And have you been to any second weddings?
Well, you
You've been
know
to
that
one.
we both. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been to a couple.
Yeah.
In this latest second wedding I went to, I also got invited to a second bachelor party.
Mm.
Now I didn't go on the first one, so I didn't have that excuse.
Did they go as hard?
That's a great
I
question.
feel like everything has to be downsized a bit if it's second for both people.
You know, this guy had a bit of a rough divorce, and he really, I'm going to say in a good way, kind of like there were only like me and 3 other guys who went to both weddings.
Mm.
Like he kind of like
Big life change.
he made a big life change for the better.
Mm.
Like the new group of guys were great, so they probably went harder in the second bachelor party. I didn't go to
He swept in a whole new group of friends. Wow.
yeah, yeah.
He was like, you know what? I'm making a big life change. New wife, new slate of
Yeah,
bachelors.
new slate. And hey, I felt good that I like one of 3 people who made the cut both times. So
It's like a whole new reality show cast for this guy.
right,
Temptation Island season 4.
yeah,
So, okay, let's get back to the friendship of it all.
yeah.
So I think, look, there's obviously the bachelor, the groom's, the bridal party is fraught. What are the other sort of friendship issues that you see as relevant for our podcast listeners at a wedding?
Well, you know, we've always talked about the cost. You know, if you're making people travel, what gift to give. We haven't talked about black tie optional in a while.
I love
You
dressing
know,
up. Caro hates it. He feels it's a undue burden.
yeah. We haven't even talked about like also just inviting people in general. I mean, like who makes the cut to your wedding?
You know, look, I just think every couple who gets married, you know, has that cutoff list of like their where they that's a good time. By the way, you talk about how Caro, you go through your social fitness friend inventory. Boy,
Right.
I'll tell you, wedding season's a great time. That's
Yeah.
the best use of that time is going through your friend inventory and your
Oh,
social fitness and your
how long ago was your wedding?
6 years ago in July.
Was there anybody that you invited that you definitely wouldn't invite if you got married today?
Yes.
I mean, naturally.
Yes. Just 6 years, of course. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, not that many, but for sure I can like off the top of my head, I'm like, oh, I can't believe that's so funny, you know.
Right. And
You're
there's
like, oh,
also
that's so
people
funny.
that you would invite now that you didn't even know then or
Totally.
what.
Totally. I mean, I have a lot of new friends that definitely if I had another wedding this time around, would I have a whole new slate of bachelors? That's funny.
Right.
Would my bachelor party, would my groomsmen be the same? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
6 years
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. I think, you know, your starting lineup probably changes on a yearly basis.
Right.
Like the 7, 8 slots.
Right. Right. But the starting 5 usually stays pretty
Yeah. Or it should.
tight. Pretty tight. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a good time to do that friendship inventory from the, you know, if you're the bride or groom, like looking at your friendship circle, who to invite. You know, I'm like, I don't know, you know, does this person give you a good feeling? This is your day. You know, is this somebody you'd want to be a part of your universe where you're, you know, having this big moment? You know, but there is a financial cost, you know. I mean, there's other ways to celebrate people. If you can't afford to have 200 people that you like at your wedding, you can't do it.
Should we take a listener question?
Sure.
All right. We'll be right back. All right, this is asking for a friend. If you have a friendship question or ethical dilemma, send it to us on Instagram, Man of the Year Podcast, and we will answer it on the show. So, Matt, we've gotten this question. I've actually personally gotten this question, maybe more than any other question we have got.
Wait, what? This is our number one question?
Yeah, because it's sort of universal, sort of beyond friendship, which is, how do I write a good best man speech? How do I write a good toast? I mean, people are like, Karo, can you write me your toast? I'm like, no. And as people who are writers and have given many toasts, I thought maybe we could do some best practices on giving the best man. So I have a few thoughts. Number one, don't wing it. I think you should prepare. I don't know if I've ever told you sort of what my advice to non-writers is. Have I told you this? Like, if you're trying to write something, I always say start a notes app or a Google Doc, something that's accessible on your computer, on your phone. And that first document is literally any thought, anything you come up with. It doesn't have to be a sentence. It doesn't have to be anything. It's free flowing. You don't edit yourself. That's fine. And you give yourself time, not like 5 days, like months, weeks. And then after you have some gobbledygook in the file, then you start editing it down. People who are non-writers, I think they get frustrated because they're like, where do I start? What do I do? You need to start with something. Also, I think, what do you think is the proper length of a best man toast?
For non-writer, non-comedians, 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Wow. No.
Yeah.
A 2-minute best man toast? Come on, give him a little more time than that. 5
minutes, fine. I'll give him 5.
I think a
Tight
good
5 is a long time, though. 5 minutes is a long time for non-professional people to be up public speaking. That's a lot of stress. It's a lot of anxiety for a lot of people. Most people do not want to be up on stage in front of 100, 200 people for 5 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. I'd say.
No, you're right. 5 minutes is probably right. Because you have to start off with the other person.
Right. Well, by the way, 1-page Word document is
5 minutes.
About that. So another sort of best practice I say is, be heartfelt, like lead with, that's always going to go over well.
Yep.
Like jokes are going to be good, but like it needs some heart as well. And if you're doing it for a guy, you got to rip him a new one a little bit. But
I think that's right. Start with heart, keep it short, keep it positive.
But I love how best man toasts are like, Jim, he was garbage. He sucked. He couldn't string 2 sentences together. Then he met Jill and she swept his life and changed his sheets. And now he's a human. Like, let's give our man a little credit.
No, that's pretty much how Jess found me, in the gutter.
You were literally sleeping on the floor.
I was.
You were a garbage man.
I was just thinking about length of speech because I do recall you had a record-setting 27-minute one.
Was it 27 or was it 19? Because 27, that seems impossible.
I think it was a 26.
Oh man, but it was a great speech.
Yeah,
great
26 and change. That's a little lengthy.
Yeah. Oof. I do love to hear myself speak, though.
Yeah, it's a question as to whether everybody else wants to sit through that. Look, I don't know how much we want to get into how to give a speech, but I think, what are the qualities you want to convey in that friend? Like, if they're loyal, then I don't know, maybe tell a story that represents their loyalty. If they're funny, and they're wild, sure, it's okay to tell like a PG-13.
Yeah.
It should not start with, anything related to sex or anything like that.
Right. It's also good to be self-deprecating yourself.
Yeah.
This is the moment. By the way, at that same wedding, Nate and Rita's wedding, where he asked me to MC, Nate still thinks it's the funniest thing I've ever said. I was introducing all the speakers.
Yeah.
And I go, and now the moment everybody at every wedding always looks forward to two bridesmaids giving a toast at the same time. And he loved it. Also not captured on video, but like they're holding
was there rhyming?
I don't think there was rhyming, but there was two very crinkled pieces of paper. They were,
I think that's very cliched though. Now I've heard a lot. I will say, I think women in general have really upped their toasts games.
Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, I think you made a good point that like we just think it's natural and make a toast, speak in front of people, write something down. Most people go their whole lives without having to do that.
That's right. So, and it's I think it's like doubly. It's hey, you want to write a good speech, but again, the performance element of it is the whole other thing because a lot of people can write the good speech. That's part A.
Right.
Then you got to speak it. But I also think, you said something that's very you, which is like, oh, you should start months in advance. I want to say I think most people are not like you and they're not going to do that. So I want to give advice to the people who have 2 days to do it. That's why I'm like shorter is better. Cause like if you have 2 days, give a 2-minute speech. You're not going to be able to nail a 5-minute speech if you haven't started writing until 2 days before, but you can give a really good 2-minute speech.
And what they're going to remember is they're going to remember that you were heartfelt. They're going to remember that you took the time to do it. So like just getting up there and doing it is a pretty big honor. And also you should enjoy it. Yeah. Don't get too drunk beforehand.
That's a good one. Don't get too drunk beforehand. Prepare. I mean, literally don't get too drunk and prepare. That's also the key to a good wedding speech.
Yeah. Also, why is it that every non-professional doesn't know how to hold a microphone?
What do they do? Too low or too high?
Both. Either they're screaming into it or you can't hear anything.
The can't hear anything drives me freaking nuts. Why is everybody so polite at weddings? When you hear a person, it's like the father of the bride or something, right? It's like an important speech.
Yeah.
And he's got the mic 30 paces from his face. And he starts off the speech and he's reading off of his sheet and nobody says a goddamn word till he's on page 3. Why doesn't somebody just get up and jack the mic out of his hand?
This is another best practice. I do this whenever I'm making a toast, when I'm officiating. Anytime I have a microphone, I always do a little sound check.
Right.
People in the back, can you hear me?
First thing, can you hear me? This is your one speech for your daughter. You've been waiting your whole life for it. And literally nobody heard it. And then afterwards you go, how was it? And everybody's like, yeah, it's good.
By the way, what's one thing that people giving toasts now have that we didn't have in our heyday? AI.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Just have ChatGPT write it.
Just use it sparingly.
Fill in their qualities. Right? Oh, this is a speech about a person who's a big athlete, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Use sports analogies. Nautical themed boatsman.
We're always talking about boats on this pod for some reason.
Too many boats.
And don't mention his exes.
No mentioning of the exes.
No mention of the exes. So guys, that was asking for a friend. If you have a friendship question or ethical dilemma, send it to us on Instagram and we will answer on the show, Man of the Year podcast. Matt, any other wedding season topics?
Yeah. So seating, I think that's the big one. A lot of friends feel very dissed when they get a bad table. I've been dissed. I think I told you this. I was once next to a seeing eye dog. That was that was the person next to me. I was once at like there was one single table. I was single and I didn't get placed at that table. I was at some couples table. I was like a, odd lot, odds and ends table. When you get put at the miscellaneous table, nothing more undignified than being at the miscellaneous table when all of your friends are having a rip-roaring good time. All your high school buddies are at one table and you're like, oh, so how do you guys know each other? You're doing that thing across the table. You can't hear the person next to you.
Let me do a Matt style reversion on you. You could take it as a compliment because they think you're a good middler or a good conversationalist.
You could take it as a compliment. You're just not going to have a good time.
I mean, how often are you actually sitting at the seat?
No, I think that's the thing, right? If you feel slighted with your seating, just don't feel obligated to sit there.
Matt, do you at a Jewish wedding, do you participate in the raising of the chair?
Always, to my detriment, to my
Yeah.
back's detriment.
Yeah.
You know, that's my idea for a business. Hora lifters. Come in. It's just 5 strong college athletes.
Yeah.
They come in for like $400 and they come in and they lift the chair.
So I've opted out. I haven't done one in years. It's too dangerous.
It's very dangerous, but I always look around and I go, I'm actually stronger than most of the men here.
Oh, it has nothing to do with strength.
Yes, it does.
You slip a disc, it's it. You're
I
done.
know, but I'm just looking around and I go, I'm obligated. I'm a fit man.
Yeah. I want you to know that if I ever get married, I don't want you to feel obligated.
No, but I'll do it because I will always look around and I go, I said I wouldn't, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that's very Matt-esque because it's not good for you.
No. I'm a pleaser. I'm a pleaser. What do you want from me? That's why I think the Hora lifters would solve my problem.
Yeah. Well, we need to, what's a good name for them?
Does it have to have like a Jewish theme name with chair, something? I don't know. We'll have to think of it offline.
We'll have to come back to that.
Wait, so seating arrangements. Look, I think that's a fraught issue of like making sure that people feel like they're having a good time or at the right table. Like, are there any best practices for that?
I mean, I've never done a seating chart. Not only have you gotten married, but your wife is an event planner. So you have more, there's a software to do it, right?
Jesse's, I told you, she's like Minority Report out there. She's on the screen moving things around, tables around. Yeah, I just think, you do want to be a little thoughtful about like making sure nobody feels lonely at a wedding.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think at some point there's going to be odd lots left over.
Yes.
So
and it's not your responsibility as the bride or groom. Like, your responsibility is to yourselves, have a good time. But, you do want everybody to have a good time. So I think just make sure that like when you're putting the seating arrangement together, be like, oh, that person's going to be totally isolated. Like, that's not great.
Well, I actually had an idea. I want to know what you think about this, which is that instead of having one table of the odd lots, the miscellaneous table, put one odd lot at each table where those people are all friends and know each other. Does that make any sense?
Not sure. I don't know. You're solving for the odd lot by having each odd lot be part of the problem. Is if they're the only person at a table, everybody's best friends from high school, and you're like, oh, how do you know Jim? Oh yeah, we work together. Like, they're gonna turn away and never talk to you again the rest of the night.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty friendly at weddings.
Maybe. I mean, it's not an easy solve. What other friendship issues come up at weddings? Well, hooking up with people's friends, the groomsmen and bridesmaids hooking up.
I mean, I think we're all for that.
We're all for it. That's the answer. We're just all for it.
Yeah, my parents met at a rehearsal dinner.
Yeah, it's a good place. Listen, it's a good place for romantic. Is it a good place to make friends? Let's talk about that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I made friends at the last wedding I went to.
Yeah. If it's a good place to make friends, I think let's just talk about that briefly, because I think there could be something to be said for going into a wedding as an opportunity to make a new friend. Because actually, I've met a lot of people that say they've made friends at weddings. I don't know if I have, but I know that I definitely hear that a lot from people saying, "Oh, we actually met at a wedding." Like, how did you guys? Oh, we met at a wedding. We became friends at a wedding, not just romantic, like friends.
Right.
So I wonder if there's an opportunity to see it as a, because we're always talking about like, being places that are conducive, like everybody's in a good mood, everybody's really friendly. You are introducing yourselves. Is there something to that being fertile ground to make friends?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually I don't know if we've ever talked about that. Yeah, I mean, listen, I met a buddy and his fiance at this wedding last summer. I'm still buddies with them. They're great. You're in a good mood. You're very open. You're kind of your best self at a wedding.
Totally.
You're also had a few drinks.
And nobody's feeling insecure. They're dancing. Like, there's just a lot of like free spiritedness.
Yeah.
Perfect opportunity to drop our tagline. We should be friends.
We should be friends. And Matt, I want to just go back to what you were saying, but you're sitting at the table and you're with a bunch of people who know each other. I think it's your obligation, if you're inner circle at a wedding, to be welcoming the odd lots. Just be welcoming the odd lots,
Yeah, I
period.
think it's a nice thing to do. You know how you do that? Shots.
Shots. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good
I'm trying to
one.
move away from
We're
shots.
gonna do shot. No, I know, but I do find like sometimes people are like, "Oh, let's just do shots." The college guys, bring that odd lot guy in.
You know what another role of the groomsmen is? They're ambassadors.
Yes, wedding
So
ambassador. The
they are here,
groomsman is the wedding ambassador.
making sure everybody, I mean, I take it upon myself, making sure everyone's comfortable. I introduce myself to the old people, to the
Yeah,
moms
that's
and the
always good.
grandmas.
That's always
Get chummy with the bartenders. Like, you're there to kind of grease the wheels.
That's good. The groomsman is the ambassador of the wedding.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
take that. I take that. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to, so these are mostly Jess's friends. I'm going to their weddings. So I'm
Right.
actually in some way gonna be a bit of an odd lot. Well, not really, but like just in the sense that like I'm older
Yeah.
and like I'm sure I'm not like that close with a lot of the guys.
Right.
So do I maybe go in with an opportunity of like, building on some of these relationships?
And by the way, since Jess is probably inner circle-ish of the brides, she's going to be kind of off.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So there's going to be free time. So I did that at a wedding recently where there was the last wedding where Jessie was a bridesmaid.
Yeah.
And so me and another guy I had never met, we went and we found like a famous Barstool pizza place and we went and got pizza and became buddies.
You left the wedding?
Well, no, it was the day that they were doing the primping, like the.
Oh, no. So I meant like at the wedding itself.
No, but we became buddies that day.
Yes.
So
that's great.
Here's a great tip. Use the wives to facilitate. Say, hey, can you get the number of the husband? I'm going to text him and we'll go do something. So we'll go do an activity. And look, this isn't like, hey, you have to now become friends with this person for life, but it could be nice. It's a very nice way to meet somebody and get to know somebody that you don't maybe really know that well.
Yeah. My favorite place at a wedding where I hang out is standing at the bar.
Mm-hmm. That's the fun corner. That's the cool kids corner.
Right. Those are people who are just, want to party. They're being social. They're in a good mood because like, I'm not really a dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a dancer?
I mean, we'll just do it when everybody's doing it,
Yeah.
Like I'll definitely go out there for the first dance for everybody and then like stay out there for like 3 songs and then I got to go get my food and drink,
Right.
And then come back one more time for another like set.
Yeah. Well, then once I've had a few drinks,
yeah,
then I've got my tie tied around my forehead and I'm
that I took dance lessons with a guy named Will, last name To Dance.
What is it?
Will To Dance was his last name.
I mean,
I think it was the stage name.
Think about being so, well, I assume that. Think about being so dedicated to your cause that you've changed your name.
Yep. Yeah.
It should be called Will to Live.
Will to Live. So any other sort of just wrap up thoughts on tips for friending and wedding related friendship issues?
Yeah, I think that, or yeah, let's go into what did we learn today. I think that the same issues that come up in wedding season are the same issues that come up in not wedding season with communication, finances, snubs. I think that you got to give the bride and groom a little bit of grace. Like it's pretty stressful. I've never even been through it and I can see that. I think that you should take your role in the wedding seriously if you're giving a toast or if you're a groomsman. And I think even if you're just an odd lot, like I try to be an odd and memorable odd lot. Like I try to add value wherever I go. And let's be honest, I'm not always successful.
What did we learn is, one of our tips is be the friend. On somebody's special day, don't add to their burden, like you said, but not just don't add to their burden, be the friend. I like what you said, be the groomsman, be the ambassador for the wedding. If you're seeing an odd lot, rope them in. If you know that there's a husband that doesn't know anybody and the wives are doing stuff, get his number from your wife through her friend and go, hey man, you want to go you want to go watch 2 hours of basketball, like while they're doing stuff? Like, that's a nice thing that I think most people don't do at weddings. And it's a missed opportunity, not to like build a lifelong friendship, but just to live by the idea that, relationships and social fitness matters. And it's just a nice way to go about life.
Well, one thing I wanted to add, I sort of half touched on it. Number one, if I'm an odd lot, or even if I'm not, I introduce myself to the parents.
That's good.
Right? We've talked about this before. Parents love when the friend introduces. And number two, I always ask the bride and groom, do you need anything?
That's good. Because they do need something. They need food and water.
Yeah, food or a drink. And do you do that 3 times? They'll remember you more than 90% of the people at the wedding.
And by the way, if it's your wedding coming up, I've been married. I know the stress. If your wedding season is upon you, just remember, you guys are the priority. So don't let other people's priorities supersede yours. I know I'm a pleaser, but at the end of the day, this is the one day where it gets to be about you.
I'm like, every other day of the year for me. It's also about me, but that's it. Guys, thank you so much. If you want to marry me, hit us up on Instagram. That's our show.
Wow, thirst trapping.
It's a real trap. It's a real trap. Guys, thanks for listening. Always remember, be good to yourself, be good to your friends. Love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy.